everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica if you're new here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about how my husband and I have managed to have pretty significant success in somewhat of a short amount of time in California. We lived in LA for, I don't even know, 3 or 4 years? I'm losing count. A lot has happened in the last 3 or 4 years. We now live in Orange County, which is actually very similar to LA. It's just not as crowded. That's why we like it over here. And I wanted to just share a few tips if you're either thinking about branching out, doing something different with your life, and how to accelerate that success faster like we did. One of the first tips I have is specifically for LA or New York. A lot of people have this idea in their head, especially if you're in a small town or you're just have never been to LA or New York before. Typically you see the TV shows, like The Real Housewives or The Hills and shows like that, and you see these people living these amazing lives full of like shopping and going to really cool restaurants and the rooftop bars and the clubs and like that whole kind of lifestyle and going to the beach and all that. And yes, while you can do that on occasion in LA, I'm just going to use LA as an example, I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you're going from Texas where you can have a nice house for like $1,500 a month to coming to California where you have to have 8 roommates, which is what we had 8 of us in a 3-bedroom apartment when we first moved here. You're definitely not going to be wanting to spend your money like crazy super fast. I mean, from like people, you get pokey, you get coffee, you're getting smoothies and juices, going to the juice bar. Money goes very, very quickly. I also should mention that we know more people that have moved here and have had to move home for financial reasons than have gotten to stay, because a lot of people just don't make it out here. It is incredibly difficult, and there's very high turnover of people who just come in and out. The fastest time we ever saw was actually someone moved completely across the country from Pennsylvania and lasted 2 weeks. That was the shortest turnover, but most people don't make it 6 months. So I did also want to throw that out there because it's important to realize how many people, like how common it is to not have success here. To speed up success, I really hope that you don't move here with the intentions of living that fancy life. So my first tip is to definitely live within your means. I mean, LA is super cool and I get it. Once in a while, go to like the cool restaurants in Beverly Hills or a cool bar, but definitely don't live that everyday lifestyle that you see on TV because that's not the reality of the situation. If you do, you will run out of money so fast. I've seen it happen to so many people and it's incredibly common. So yeah, definitely don't move here if you think you're going to be living the lifestyle that you see on TV. The second tip I have is something that both my husband and I did. We worked for a lot less money to make good contacts and to learn a lot. An example, one of my very first jobs was working for a company by the name of Lenny and Larry's, and they're pretty well known. They're known for like their complete cookie. Maybe you've seen it at your grocery store. I ran their social media account for several months. Managing that account gave me so much credibility when I was looking for other jobs. I actually ended up leaving their account for one of their competitors. That's a long story. Maybe I'll tell that story on a different time. But definitely it gave me so much credibility, and I made less than half of what I'm making now. And so definitely like it wasn't a money situation. Granted, I also didn't know how much I should have been getting paid at the time, but it was totally worth it in the long run because now when I'm talking with a brand and I mention Lenny and Larry's, right away people understand that I know what I'm talking about. I've ran a bigger account. I helped them grow 8,000 followers a month when I was managing it. And so that just really helped build up credibility. And on the other hand, my husband, he works in the gaming industry and gaming and crypto on the business side, and he didn't have any contacts. We did not anticipate him falling into the gaming industry whatsoever. He was just looking for a job. Both of us moved to LA without having a job locked in and secured, although we both did get jobs like right away. He found this job and he was making, I think, half of what I was making at Lenny and Larry's. So I was already making significantly less at Lenny and Larry's, and he was already making significantly less than that. But, there's a big but. He was working for the former VP of Warner Brothers Gaming. This guy had his own localization company and he knew everyone. We're still like in close contact with him now, but basically a lot of people didn't want to work with this guy because he's kind of known as like a snake in the industry. We have a very interesting relationship with him now, But Tim would work for him and he would introduce him to everyone. And it wasn't like Tim was using him. He was literally like hired by him and getting paid like crap nonstop, like for months and months and months. But he made contacts to everyone. And that was a huge, huge moment for him. And I see people like not willing to do things for free or not willing to like take low paying jobs. But if you can attach your name to like a bigger brand, or, you know, get really, really good experience, like maybe through a mentorship, which is kind of what Tim was doing, you could literally go so much further than like getting a well-paying job from like a random nobody company. Granted, I'm sure you're going to get experience too, but like if it's a random nobody company and you're doing social, no one's going to know, like no one's going to give you that credit for growing an account because you have to have that momentum anyway. But yeah. I definitely highly recommend like taking those jobs, even if like they make no sense at the time. And we were super duper broke as a joke back then, but it all paid off. And I'm so sorry my phone just went off. It's my trainer. Leave me alone. I'll see you tomorrow. The next tip I have for y'all is cold emails and cold calls. I know it sounds cheesy and it doesn't sound great at all, but literally this is exactly how my husband met one of his partners right now. And I just laugh about it. Like, basically my husband was going to create this tech thing. You can feel free to like ask him about it if you're interested to know more. But like that's totally his department, so I don't want to butcher it because it's in cryptocurrency. But basically he wanted to create this thing. He saw someone that wanted to create a similar thing, but this someone is like a really big finance guy in Connecticut and New York. He has no gaming background, but my husband, on the other hand, has all the gaming background, but doesn't have like that, like I've raised millions and millions of dollars background. So he basically reached out to this guy on LinkedIn and said, either you can be my, either we can work together on this, or you can be my competitor, and I guarantee you don't want to compete. So then they joined forces, and then now they make magic with cryptocurrency and gaming. I definitely recommend cold calling and cold emailing. I've done it hundreds of times. I've had a ton of freelance clients in the past, and it was all from cold emailing. Basically, you just introduce yourself, drop some statistics, drop some names. I know it sounds cliche, but build up like your body of work. And if you have no body of work, then like offer to be mentored by them, offer to be an intern, like figure out a way that you can make it work. Also, if you're wondering how I got started in social media, I do have a video and I'll link it down below about how I got my first social media management job, the Lenny and Larry's one. So I'll add that below if you're interested. The last tip I have for y'all, and how we made so many amazing contacts, like from Sony to Warner Brothers, so like any big major brand within Los Angeles, like we have a contact at. Literally one of my husband's investors is like one of the biggest YouTubers of all time, and one of his new investors manages like a major bro band that you probably have heard of. But we made our contacts before having any contacts through networking events. We found some, I think we found ours on Facebook and on Eventbrite. Sorry, there's like a piece of fuzz. Basically what we did is we searched on Eventbrite for like businessing, is that even a word? Business networking events, and we would just go to them nonstop. I'll never forget our first one. My husband is so sneaky. He took me and our roommate Allie, and Allie is like so gorgeous, and he used us as bait. And now that's kind of a term we use, like we're networking bait essentially. Because if you go to like a gaming event or you go to a networking event, a lot of times it's mostly men. So then you just dangle these two women in front and they all flock and you get all their business cards. And I'm not proud of it, but like it's kind of a good strategy if you ask me. So Tim invited us. We go to this networking event. At the time we were like super broke living in North Hollywood. And we go into Beverly Hills and it's at this super duper nice hotel. Like people are dressed so nice, like long dresses, like super formal. We're in jeans, like we're dressed up. I was probably dressed in something like this, like a nice leather jacket and jeans. And I probably looked like the biggest idiot there. Like, oh my gosh, we totally stuck out. We saw like celebrities there, like it was just super over the top. We found this thing on Eventbrite. And yeah, it ended up working. We did get a lot of contacts, but it was good practice for us to kind of see like how people are, because if you're coming from like Texas, an example, to LA, seeing how people talk and how they network is completely different. Like you think you're gonna get manners and like all these overly nice people, you're wrong. So it's important to realize like the different level of hustle that comes within a city, because all cities are different. New York is definitely very different than LA. I do love New York, but We definitely recommend doing the networking events. Some of our closest friends that we've met and some of our biggest partners and allies within the community we met through random networking events. So highly, highly recommend. I also met this super awesome guy the other day at a networking event. I was actually taken to this event to be networking bait. Remember that term? And then I met this like super awesome guy, and I might like do some stuff with him. He's super cool, but maybe I'll fill y'all in on that at a different time. But yeah, I hope all of these tips are very helpful, and if you'd like any more tips, I literally have so much I could share, but I don't want to like overwhelm you with this stuff. Also, side note, if you're interested in like going from like, you know, a small, simple life to like trying to like take on something tremendously large, or like you have really big goals and dreams, I highly recommend reading the book, The Third Door. I'm currently reading it. I talk about it like all the time. It is so amazing. It also teaches you in one chapter how to properly cold email, and I'm definitely going to be taking up some of his tips in that. I haven't used them yet, but I will be. So anyway, I hope this video is really helpful for you along your journey, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!